Fell asleep beneath the flowers.
Fell asleep beneath the flowers.
I heard you punched Anita Baker in the face.
Of course, I just mean fight for my dignity and fight for my rights and, my position in life. We had a disagreement, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She can't swing on Anita Baker.
Jill Scott, the name that can make you swoon 1 minute and side-eye the next. Sure, she's got that honey-dripped voice and lyrics that hit you right in your feelings.
I just need more. I just need more.
But don't let the soulful vibes fool you. Behind the mic, Jill's life has been a whirlwind of headline-grabbing drama, personal ups and downs, and a few scandals that had everyone talking. From fiery Twitter takes to backstage showdowns and messy love stories, Jill's journey is as unpredictable as it is iconic. So let's spill some real talk about the woman who keeps it raw, keeps it real, and keeps us all guessing. Jill Scott, the queen of soulful anthems and unapologetic empowerment, found herself smack in the middle of a firestorm. And no, it wasn't from hitting one of her legendary high notes. It all popped off with one tweet. Just one. Jill took to social media and casually called Chris Brown amazing, praising his singing, dancing, acting, and rapping like she was his PR manager. Seemed innocent enough, right? Wrong. The internet lit up faster than a 4th of July barbecue. People were not having it. They came for Jill's entire existence, dragging her name through the mud and pointing straight to Chris Brown's notorious past, specifically his 2009 assault on Rihanna. Fans were shook. How is Mrs. A Long Walk out here hyping up a man with that history? The comments screamed. They called her a hypocrite, a sellout, and questioned how someone who built a career on empowerment and respect could turn around and uplift someone so controversial. But Jill, she wasn't about to sit back and take the heat. Instead of retreating with a carefully crafted apology, she doubled down. She stood her ground, saying, "Listen, we need to separate the artist from the art."
I say it like this: if you can tell me what to do, then you can tell me what to do. But if you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do.
Damn,
Does
Jill.
that make sense?
Then she went deeper, opening up about her mother's abusive ex-husband and the complicated ways people reconcile talent with trauma. To her, Chris Brown's artistry deserved its own spotlight, separate from his personal scandals. Cue more backlash. The internet wasn't buying it. So we're just out here giving passes to abusers now, critics clap back. For days, Jill's name was trending, with think pieces, hashtags, and memes flying faster than a viral TikTok. While some fans appreciated her vulnerability, most weren't here for the explanation, calling it a deflection. The drama didn't just fade overnight. It left a stain on Jill's public image. She may have weathered storms before, but this one hit differently. It was a reminder of just how quickly the internet can turn on you, no matter how beloved you are. And let's face it, the next time Jill logs on to tweet, you know she'll be thinking twice. And let's get into that Anita Baker mess, shall we? Listen, when VH1's Divas Live announced Jill Scott and Anita Baker were teaming up for a duet of Sweet Love, the hype was real. Fans were practically salivating at the thought of these two powerhouse vocalists sharing a stage. Jill Scott with her poetic flair, and Anita Baker, the queen of smooth as silk ballads. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, everything. Word on the street is that Jill wasn't exactly jumping at the chance to rehearse with Anita.
We just had a disagreement.
Whether it was scheduling conflicts, creative differences, or just plain diva vibes, things got tense and fast. Producers tried to play peacekeeper, but apparently it wasn't enough. Anita, known for her no-nonsense attitude and high standards, wasn't having it. Rumor has it she left the venue in tears just hours before showtime. Can you imagine? A legend storming out of her own duet. The drama was thick enough to cut with a knife. The media had a field day. Was Jill throwing shade? Was Anita being a diva? Who was the real villain here? Everyone had an opinion, but no one had answers. Eventually, Jill broke her silence, and her response, let's just say it didn't quite clear the air. She admitted there was a disagreement, but insisted it was overblown.
I heard you punched Anita Baker in the face.
That's a terrible lie. Of course, I just mean fight for my dignity and fight for my rights and, my position in life.
Y'all did get into it once, though, right?
Not really. We had a disagreement, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She can't swing on Anita Baker now.
Who would?
You can swing on whoever disrespects you.
Not Anita Baker.
No.
Anita Baker is a hero to me, Jill said, as if to smooth things over. She explained that the situation became a bit more than I could actually take, and she decided to step away. But not without adding that she still had nothing but love for Anita and her music.
Anita Baker is a hero to me. I grew up listening to her music. We just had a disagreement.
Just not that day.
No, she was still a hero to me, but it was more than I could actually take. So I was like, you know what? It's better for me to bow out and walk away.
Cute, right? Except fans weren't buying it. Was this really just a misunderstanding, or was Jill showing her diva side? While Jill's polished response put a lid on the feud, the incident left a permanent smudge on what could have been an iconic moment. Years later, folks are still asking, what really went down between Jill and Anita? Whatever the case, this is one drama that'll forever have its place in the Diva Hall of Fame. Let's take it back for a second. Before Jill Scott became the queen of soul, jazz, and funk, who can serve you a little country on the side just because she can. She was just another girl from North Philly.
But you grew up in Philadelphia, and it was not an easy childhood. You were poor.
Yeah, I didn't
Plain
know
and
that
simple.
though.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were broke until I got into junior high school, and I visited other people, and I was like, wait a minute, you have grass.
Born on April 4th, 1972, Jill grew up in a household where love, music, and let's not sugarcoat it, violence were all too familiar. Raised by her mother and grandmother, she didn't have the luxury of a fairy tale childhood. Her mother, caught in an abusive relationship, suffered in silence.
You also grew up where you saw domestic violence and were a victim of that. Talk to me about that, how that shaped you as a human being.
How has that shaped me? I watched my mother walk away, and I think that was the most powerful thing that's ever happened in my life. And it was obviously for our greater good. But she walked away with absolutely nothing. In the middle of the night, I remember waking up, looking from underneath a blanket in the middle of the night and waking up at grandma's house and not looking back at all. And I love that. It taught me that if you're in a position where life is not treating you well, in fact, if life is being cruel to you, you have to do something about it. And you may lose everything in the course of it, but you have this one life. And my mother not only had her life, but she had mine as well. So that alone let me know I don't have to suffer. I don't have to suffer in silence, and I don't have to stay in a place that is harmful to my spirit or to my body at all.
And Jill wasn't about to just sit back and watch. She's been real about the abuse she and her mother endured, and trust, that ain't an easy thing to share. But Jill, being the fighter she is, wasn't about to let anyone run over her. I couldn't hurt him, so I fought anyone else who dared to cross me, she once said. And you know what? That same fighting spirit, that fire, became the backbone of the powerhouse she is today. It's that grit that turned her pain into poetry.
I had been turning tricks longer than I actually knew it. Being whatever they wanted me to be, whenever they wanted me to be it.
And set her on the path to stardom. Jill Scott? Oh, she wasn't always dreaming of being a superstar. In fact, she never saw herself in the spotlight. Growing up in North Philly, she was just like any other girl with a whole bunch of different ideas about her future.
Always want to be a performer?
No. I wanted to be an English teacher first, and then I wanted to be a psychologist, and then I wanted to be an actor, and it kind of all just happened.
But y'all know Jill wasn't meant to be stuck in a classroom or office. Eventually, that artistic side of her couldn't be ignored. She got the acting bug and thought, I'm about to be the next big thing in theater. So off she went to Temple University, thinking she'd combine teaching with performance. But guess what? That whole academic life wasn't cutting it. The system felt too restrictive and her creativity was suffocating. So she did what most people wouldn't dare. She dropped out. No backup plan, no clear direction, just pure instinct. Now here's where things get really juicy. Stuck in that phase of figuring out what she was really about, Jill turned to poetry. And baby, it wasn't just any poetry. Her words hit different. They were deep, raw, and real. She started hitting those open mics, spitting verses that had the crowd hanging on every word.
Like teenage pregnancy wasn't becoming synonymous with being black and woman. Like America wasn't suffocating our thoughts.
That's when the whispers started. Who is this girl, they wondered. She's got something. And that was the moment. Jill Scott was no longer just a poet. She was a poet with a microphone. And that microphone, it was about to change her life. Forget being boxed into any one lane. Jill was destined to show the world she could mix raw poetry with soul-shaking music, and the world wouldn't be the same after that. Jill Scott wasn't just waiting for her big break, she made it happen. And let's be real, she didn't even have it all figured out at first. Enter Questlove from The Roots, who had been keeping an eye on this Philly girl with serious potential. So what does Jill do? She lies through her teeth, telling him she writes songs when in reality, she had never done it before.
There's so many people to thank. I'm going to thank Questlove. Questlove! Thanks.
Bold move, right? But don't get it twisted. She wasn't just talking her way into the game. She was making moves. She quickly jumped into co-writing You Got Me.
Baby, don't worry, you know that you got me.
A track that would change her life.
I read that you initially, when you and Questlove, you and Amir first met, that you told him you could write songs, but you couldn't actually write songs.
No.
What happened?
He came to a poetry reading, and I guess I did well that night. And he's like, "So, do you write songs, right?" I was like, "Yeah. I write songs. I write a lot of things." He's like, "So, can you come in and write a hook for me?" And I was like, "Okay." First of all, it's The Roots, and at the time and now, that was a huge deal for me. Just to be in the studio with them or to be anywhere near them. So I was geeked, and I lied, and I went into the studio, and Scott Storch and I talked and blazed for I don't know how long, and then he played a melody, and then I just said it. I just said it as I was writing it on the paper, and it all came out in one. I didn't even lift the pen off the paper. Just wrote. And then I said it back, and Scott said, "What'd you say?" And I said, "If you are worried about where I've been or who I saw or what club I went to with my homies." He was like, "What?" I was like, "It goes like this." And then I sang it, and he was like, "Can you record it?" I was like, "Yeah." Look, there's really no other way for me to put this thing. I am exceptionally blessed.
Sure, Erykah Badu ended up singing the studio version, but when Jill performed it live with The Roots, you could feel her energy shift the whole room.
Please, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me.
That raw talent was undeniable, and soon enough, her debut album, Who is Jill Scott? Words and Sounds Volume 1, hit the scene like a storm in 2000.
Let's take a long walk around the park.
With 4 Grammy nominations under her belt, Jill had officially staked her claim as a force in neo-soul. But the ride wasn't all smooth sailing. As if to remind her that success doesn't come without its struggles, her acting career took a major hit. She was riding high with her starring role in the HBO series The Number One Ladies Detective Agency, a show that had people buzzing about her range and talent.
Never
did I think the #1 ladies detective agency would stoop so low as to search for a dog?
But just as quickly as it rose, it came crashing down after only 1 season. Why? The show lost 2 of its biggest pillars, producer Sidney Pollack and director Anthony Minghella, both legends in their own right. Without those creative anchors, the show just couldn't keep afloat. Another setback for Jill. But if you know her, you know she wasn't about to stay down for long.
No, I've been acting for over 20 years. It was just time. I've been waiting, looking for something to get into. And because of stereotypes or whatever, it's kind of hard to bust through the door.
You got your own show on HBO, though.
Yeah,
that was
the #1 lady detective agency.
Yeah.
Why'd they cancel that? I like that show.
I love that show. The producer, Sidney Pollack, and the director, Anthony Minghella, 9-time Oscar. I think he won like 9 Oscars. They both died.
Oh,
damn.
What?
So, both, right. And then that changed everything.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, I think that would.
Do it.
That'll do it.
Is that me? No, that ain't
Damn.
And speaking of bouncing back, let's not forget about Jill's standout role in Why Did I Get Married?
I wonder what I would do when I saw you again. Stomp you in the street, whoop that.
That film made waves in 2007, where she played the character of Sheila, a woman navigating the rocky terrain of marriage and self-discovery. While she wasn't the only star in the ensemble cast, Tyler Perry really stacked that deck with stars like Janet Jackson, Tasha Smith, and Michael Jai White. Jill's performance was the one that hit different. She brought her usual depth and authenticity to the role, giving audiences a side of her that was more relatable than ever.
I wake up with so much joy in my heart.
Plus, let's not act like that movie didn't have people still talking about relationship drama long after the credits rolled. Jill, as always, left her mark, proving that when it comes to acting, she's more than just a pretty voice. Let's talk about Jill's love life for a second, because baby, it's been anything but boring. She married Lizelle Williams back in 2001, and for a while they seemed like the perfect match. But by 2007, it was all over. They called it quits, and Jill kept it moving like the queen she is. But that's not where the drama ends. Before tying the knot with Lizelle, she was engaged to another man, and guess what? That engagement didn't last either. But he did leave her with a parting gift, her son, Jed.
She's not married.
No.
She's divorced.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, I hated your baby daddy for a long time.
Why?
Because in my mind, I was like, how could you leave a beautiful woman like Jill Scott?
He
And the way you made it seem like he just left, like he just got you pregnant and bounced.
Well, we weren't meant to be.
Gotcha.
But you guys were best friends before that.
No. See, okay.
Uh-oh.
No, it's really not a long story.
He trapped you?
But no. People get things confused. They think that my ex-fiance is also my ex-husband.
Oh, right. You guys never got
I had an
married.
ex-husband
Okay.
and I had an ex-fiance. My ex-fiance is my son's father.
Oh, that's who I hate then.
Through all the ups and downs, Jill's been nothing but graceful. She's always managed to put her career first and stay focused on being the best mom she can be. The love life may have its twists and turns, but Jill knows how to keep it cute and keep it pushing. She's not one to dwell on drama. She's too busy making hits and showing the world who's boss. In recent years, Jill has slimmed down significantly, sparking conversations about her weight loss journey. While some celebrated her transformation, others questioned the constant scrutiny women face about their bodies, even those as fiercely confident as Jill Scott.
Now, you changed up a lot, Jill Scott. Like, I'm used to Jill Scott, the frizzy hair, and you were bigger.
Yes.
I mean, not bigger like that, but bigger. But now you got your hair pressed down and you lost a lot of weight. You got makeup on. What's going on, Jill?
Listen, the times, I keep switching up because I'm working in so many different facets. I don't want to get bored. So 2 days ago I was natural, and then yesterday was curly, and today is straight, and tomorrow I'll chop this off probably and start all over again.
Okay. Now, I was telling Jill Scott, I saw her in LA because I went to go see the Baggage Claim movie. And I was actually with Lauren London, and she was like, Jill Scott is my favorite. I love her so much.
That's
love her
my
to
darling.
death. And I was telling her when I was watching the movie, and they said, we're going to interview Jill Scott. I said, Jill Scott's in the movie? I didn't even realize that was her. when I was watching Baggage.
That's a good acting job.
It's a
That means she
great
did her
job. She
Thank
looks so
you.
different. Just everything about her is not how I'm accustomed to. You know how I think of Jill Scott. She did such a great job, and her character was probably one of the funniest one in the movie.
Thank you.
I want you to have these cranberry flavored for the holidays.
Still, it hasn't all been scandals and drama. Jill has achieved milestones most artists only dream of. Multiple Grammy wins, chart-topping albums like The Light of the Sun,
God, please hear my call.
Son and Woman,
Put me back together.
and a career that spans music, film, television, and poetry. She's acted in Tyler Perry movies, won an NAACP Image Award for her role in Sins of the Mother,
Hated myself for what I did to you.
This is not about you.
and even starred alongside Chadwick Boseman in Get On Up.
I was home all day.
Why'd you pick up?
I don't know.
Her versatility knows no bounds. Despite her impressive resume, Jill's legacy isn't immune to public scrutiny. Between online feuds and behind-the-scenes drama, she's remained unapologetically herself, a singer, writer, actor, poet, and truth-teller who refuses to be boxed in. Whether she's belting out sultry ballads or fighting back against internet trolls, Jill Scott continues to captivate and polarize. As of 2024, Jill Scott is worth an estimated $12 million. While she's kept relatively quiet on new projects, her influence in the music and entertainment world is undeniable. She'll be remembered for her raw honesty, her unparalleled voice, and yes, for the controversies that proved she's only human.